Fellow heroes and Force users of all ages, hello there. And welcome back to Inside the Tauntaun, a podcast in the multiverse of fandom. I'm Daniel Dawson, and I'm joined by my dear friend and fellow nerf herder, Dino Nicandros.
Greetings.
Alyssa is unfortunately stuck in the underworld with hippos and scarabs. Very sad. Today we are discussing Moon Knight, Episode 4, The Tomb. This episode of Moon Knight was directed by Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead and written by Alex Minahan, Peter Cameron, and Sabir Pirzada, and by God, we're Marvel fans.
Inside the Tauntaun podcast, please like and subscribe.
Well,
I am a Marvel fan. I love this shit so much.
wow.
Yeah, this is a really fun episode.
It got me really excited.
So remember when I was like, I don't know, randomly dogging on episode 2? I was just like, there was a dip.
Yeah.
This was the opposite of a dip.
This was whatever the opposite of a dip is.
Yeah. Oh, it's called a hill, I think.
Quite.
Yeah, more like a peak.
A peak.
Hopefully
This
not
is
a peak. I mean,
No.
It would be great if it kept going. But, like, honestly, that episode was, like, super duper fun.
Well, this was a peak, I think, in the Marvel television realm.
Yeah, it was
Like, I think
cool.
It was something we have not yet seen, and
Yeah,
especially
truly
considering like
unique.
all of the oddities in WandaVision, like
Mhm.
this stood out.
You're right, though. It really does kind of that this episode in particular feels like it does kind of come toe to toe with the weirdness of WandaVision. Yeah, just like really playing with your mind and yeah, like not answering any questions but just asking more. It's really, really, really fun.
Like, I think anyone's theory at this point is valid.
Valid, sure.
Until next week.
Yeah, right. I'm still blown away that we are well past the halfway point now, where we only have 2 episodes left, right?
Yeah.
2 episodes left.
And the penultimate one is gonna be wild. I mean, it's
yeah, it has to be, right? Yeah, I am curious too, because like there's always 2 ways a show can do. You know, it's either the finale is the craziest or the penultimate is the craziest, and then the last episode is sort of like
wraps it up.
A wrap up. Yeah, I imagine. I don't know what the show is going to do. I'm excited, but I was going to say that I'm weirded out that we still haven't met the third. Like they're
so close.
They're saving it for like the last few episodes, like that. I wonder. Why? You know, there has to be a reason that they're saving it for the last moment, because there's some big reveal that we don't know about, and I'm wondering what that is. And I love that, but it's like we all know that they're there, but like what's so special about this particular one that they feel like the need to, you know, hold the cards close to the chest until the last moment?
Right.
I wonder.
Yeah. I don't know. There's.
Are we gonna find out that this last one is like randomly a bad guy or something like that, or you know?
Yeah,
and he's like responsible for a lot of dark stuff. Dark-sided.
Yeah. When this episode was over, I struggled to come up with a good explanation for what was
happening. Yeah. You said at the time, but now you still have nothing.
I have an idea. I mean, just like anyone else does.
Oh, sure.
And maybe we just work backwards, because that's what
I mean. Honestly,
everybody's gonna want to talk about.
The one of the most interesting parts of the episode was most definitely the ending. And
so Mark clearly gets shot several times.
Yes,
in the chest.
Like, I think it's always like, you know, when a show goes as far as to show you like that he wasn't just shot, he was shot like directly like right next to the heart.
Yes.
It's just like you want to be like this person is probably dead.
Yes, and he falls back into the standing water, and
Mm-hmm.
you get one of the the coolest shots I've seen in recent memory of
Very cool.
him slowly fading out of consciousness.
Yeah.
You see the kind of light at the end of the tunnel, and then the light becomes the flashlight in a very campy Indiana Jones Tomb Raider.
That was the weird, like the craziest reveal. I was like, wait, is there something wrong?
Tomb Busters.
I literally, for a second, I thought that there was something wrong with Disney Plus. I was like, wait, what happened? I thought that they forwarded me to another show that I had never seen before.
Well, that's where the WandaVision comparison kind of came in.
Yeah.
Wait, what is going on here? And we're in this pulpy 90s Raiders of the Lost Ark ripoff with which follows the exploits of one Dr. Stephen Grant.
And yes, a made-for-TV movie, basically.
Which so something is clearly amiss here, and then we find out we're in a psychiatric ward. And we start seeing faces we recognize from.
I mean, mostly like the entire. It feels like almost all of the featured characters from the show so far. Are in here.
Crazy manager Donna at the British Museum.
Yes, who's holding a scarab,
cuddling
right?
a scarab pillow or
from
plush.
the gift shop.
Yeah. And then you see Harrow's minions. You know, the guys masquerading as cops.
Yep. Even
Layla.
I didn't realize this at first, but it was pointed out that the one of the guys in the psych ward is the gold statue guy.
Yes. Yeah.
He's also in there
I didn't
too.
recognize that at first, but yes.
Hard to recognize him without all the paint on his face.
And they're playing a game of bingo. It's just all very.
And they're also some guy is doing the Rubik's Cube, which we saw him do earlier in an earlier episode.
And Layla's personality obviously is completely. She's very docile and very bizarre. And then we find Mark in a wheelchair, which he's curiously ankle
strapped
cuffed to,
right?
Just like he would be in his bed.
Mm-hmm.
And he sees a reflection of Steven in the window, or I don't remember if it's the window or the mirror, but
It's like a window thing.
He's
with like a plant on the other side of it or something. I don't know.
He's there, and those two still exist in each other's minds. So it just coming up with a good explanation for that is just
so
elusive.
There's a few theories out there about the whole show of whether or not Mark is actually dead. And like the whole show more or less is just a big like projection in his mind. Or if like this is the real world now, like that we're seeing, which to me that doesn't feel right because like a lot of it, well, especially towards the end of the scene where everything starts to kind of like tilt and like, you know, the chandelier starts swaying, like that feels very Inception like, you know, like
right.
Or at least that one scene in Inception. Yeah, I don't know. What is your?
Well, it's interesting you bring up Inception because, and just my gut feeling right now is that Mark is dying.
Okay, yeah, that's interesting. Well, we all know that he just got shot in the chest. Although that's interesting. Do you feel like that portion of the story that's being told is real?
Of him getting shot?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what I think too.
I think that's real. And whatever's happening here, I think is his brain playing games with him as he slips in and out of.
Yes, because I was going to say like Inception would be like both of these things are not real, and there's like another reality that's like outside of both of these. So it's like as you get further down the rabbit hole, like it just gets weirder and weirder.
Right,
You know what
and
I mean?
when you think about Inception, the mechanism they use to wake them up from the dreams.
Yes.
So like for instance, like that, yeah,
Leon.
that and the bathtub.
Yes.
And that kind of explains the weird hallway.
Yeah.
When he's running away from Harrow. Just something is going on. So I wonder if that's
Something
him
is
just
amiss.
thinking. And I'm gonna stick by that. That this is a quote unquote fever dream. A kind of the brain's last images as it dies.
Yeah. There's
And-
also another theory out there too that that it is happening in his mind, but it is like his depiction of what the underworld is.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I buy that.
Yeah, like everybody had when you go to the underworld, like everybody kind of has what their own version of what it looks like, kind of.
Yeah.
I guess sort of to. Well, I don't know if it's to make you feel comfortable because he obviously doesn't feel comfortable. He's like, I'm not supposed to be here. Where am I?
Yeah.
And then also finds his altar. Although it's he also finds he finds two sarcophagi, one of which he opens and finds Stephen in. Yeah, because I think we're led to believe that Mark is the one that we were seeing first, the one that's strapped to the chair,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then he finds Stephen, who's in a sarcophagus, and then we see another sarcophagus that's shaking, but they just are like, we're gonna leave that one alone, which is like weird, like he made an unconscious but maybe conscious decision to not go and open it up, which like they didn't even comment on it. They just look at it and then like go away from it, which I thought was a very interesting choice. It just
Yeah.
did you find that weird too?
Well, yes. I mean, is Mark? Well, look, we know Mark was super confused in the last episode when all
Yeah.
those people ended up dead, and he was like, "Well, I didn't do it."
Yeah,
Stephen,
right.
Well, I didn't do it. So, I wonder, and the third person we're referring to is Jake Lockley.
Right.
Theoretically,
Because
this show is kind of bonkers right now, it could be somebody else. But
who knows?
yeah, I wonder how aware Mark is. Like you just said, perhaps it was an unconscious or a subconscious decision to avoid it, or if he truly does suspect
There's
at this
something
point
sinister in there.
Yeah, like perhaps like there's a third version, and we don't need to go down that road. Like things are nuts enough. We don't
that guy's rough.
We don't need to unlock the third part.
But yeah, and I wonder what that even if this place, this like subconscious place, or if they're like in the underworld or whatever it may be, if whatever they do here does have implications in his like real reality, whatever that means, like by him unlocking Stephen from the sarcophagus, like is like, okay, he's back now. If I unlock this other sarcophagus, it's like they're all aware of each other all of a sudden, maybe.
Right.
I don't know. But then so we didn't even talk about him and his like really fun conversation with
Harrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's where that's kind of where the fever dream death rattle kind of thing comes to mind, because he's starting to piece things together very slowly. Like you see he sees in the reflection like Harrow's pants and the glass-filled shoes.
Yeah.
And so he's desperate. I think he's desperately trying to climb back into reality.
Yeah, he's like, no, this isn't real.
That was a spicy little conversation they had too.
Yes.
I really like how it's timed out when Harrow's talking about the Raiders of the Lost Ark knockoff.
Yes.
He mentions, I particularly liked the villain.
And then quotes
It's like, oh,
him.
Yeah.
Which I think was very interesting. I'm trying to remember what the quote was, but I'm sure it's probably important. But I also thought it was very interesting too that he was like that he had like a little short speech about reality, like talking about like this pen, is a writing utensil for me, but for I can't remember what his other description was. To a dog or something. He's like, it's a chew toy or something.
Yeah, and
both are true. Yeah,
it's in the eye of the beholder.
Right. So that's a hint. I think, right? It's hinting to something.
Unfortunately, it just asks yet another question of
what is real?
But actually, in this series, what in the hell is real?
Right.
And
they're begging us to go down that rabbit hole, like of just asking whether or not the entire thing we've been watching this whole time is actually real. Yeah.
And I would say at this point it would be deeply unsatisfying if a giant chunk of it isn't. You know what I mean?
I'm preparing myself for that.
We've done
I'm preparing
that trope
myself for
before, and I just don't want that.
I know. It would be interesting. It would be interesting. It would be like if it was sort of an Inception like thing where at the end, like the last 2 episodes, we find out that like both of these things that we've seen so far are not the real. And maybe that's why they're saving Jake for the last, because maybe Jake is like, the furthest out. So once he's like revealed, it's God, yeah, I don't know. I feel like they could easily do that, and then like the next season of Moon Knight is like, in Jake's reality.
Yeah.
It sounds so confusing.
I know. Forgive me. I'm processing.
I know.
Processing in real time. So this episode in particular does borrow from what has become a very famous Moon Knight comic run,
right?
In 2016, where there is it opens with Stephen and Mark in an insane asylum, a lot like this.
Yep.
What's different?
I've heard about this. I haven't read it, but
right. And what my understanding, what's different is that we already have a really good established view of who Moon Knight is by the time that run starts. So
sure, because this is a continuation of other runs,
and we've by that point we've been well introduced to Moon Knight, but here we're still we've barely even gotten to see Moon Knight, and now Khonshu's in prison, and like we have so many questions left, and now as we've talked about, we're questioning whether any of this is real.
Yeah,
and
what?
I believe that comic run it didn't end up being it geared more, I'll say this, it geared more towards being what I had said, like a fever dream.
Sure.
But
so like
it was also and I need to read this comic. I think it will be super useful.
Yes. But, I'm curious if this is the one that my friend was telling me that I needed to read, and I'm sure it must be, because he said it was like one of the coolest like arcs that he's ever read.
But the whole crux of this arc was that it reframed Stephen and Mark's personality disorder as a gift, and that
I've said that from the very beginning. When I was doing the research, I was just like, to me, it's like, because it says like on the website, on the Marvel wiki, like it says that like his weakness is his disorder. I'm just like, but like it sounds to me like all of these guys have, all of his alters have like these very special gifts, that they can bring to the table. I totally think it's a gift.
Right. He's able to identify problems and fix problems that others cannot, because he's literally working in tandem with another version of himself who sees the world wildly different.
Which, interestingly enough, I mean, like, wow, that's kind of interesting. Because Moon Knight in this show, this version of Moon Knight already exists and is already like a superhero. You know what I mean? But like, it feels like we're getting an origin story of like, of Mark and Steven and whoever else, like them sort of meeting each other and finding out that if we work together, that we are kind of like our own superhero, without Khonshu. And so I think that it's sort of like he's like learning, he's got like special abilities that if he is able to like learn how to, I don't know if he's like controlling his personality disorder, like that, that it could actually work in his favor.
Yeah, and I wonder, since Khonshu is sidelined right now, and we get another view of this at the beginning of the episode, in the little stone talisman, and it seems there are many gods who are in this.
I'm glad you started to bring that
conundrum.
up. Yeah. And including, which going back to what we were talking about before, because we didn't mention it, which was like the big reveal at the very end of the episode where we saw this giant hippo. It's like, hang on. So cute. I'm getting very much like Korg vibes, like just because it's just like a really adorable, like large creature that like speaks like basically like a normal person.
And what's fascinating is, so this is Taweret.
Taweret, right?
The goddess of childbirth and fertility
and rebirth too, which is interesting.
Which would make a ton of sense if Mark is clinging to life here.
Yeah, and also interesting enough, the reason why I brought it back to this is because if you go if you watch some of the previous scenes where we've seen these little statuettes, and even in like the credits and stuff, they'll show like little like clips of like statues standing together. It looks fairly like Taweret is one of them.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's and if you if what we're seeing is in his head, it would be weird that Taweret is there, I guess. You know what I mean? So there must be something real about the place that he's in, but not like real.
Well, and there's a suggestion,
which is why I think Harrow is making that like this is real, but it's not like real.
Well, right, and there's been a suggestion too that perhaps this is Mark and Steven to an extent challenging Harrow's view of reality.
Sure.
And that what we're kind of seeing here is a subconscious battle for over what reality really is.
Yeah.
What is real and what isn't. And I think that was the point of what Harrow was saying, was it's all in the eye of the beholder. So,
but Taweret is there.
And is it some kind of rescue or?
I mean, we do know that Mark is aware of Taweret because he even mentioned her, like in what was it, the first episode, I think, right? When
yeah,
they're doing inventory of all the
Steven,
gift shops.
Steven, yes.
Oh, sorry,
Steven
Steven, thank you.
Yeah,
Yes. And he's like, "Oh, could you hand me those hippos?" And he's just like, "You mean Taweret?" He references her. So, the fact that Taweret is in his potential subconscious, fever dream, like you were saying, I guess could make sense, but also if I think it would make more sense maybe that she is real and that they are all in the same place, but they're maybe just seeing it in different ways. Taweret is in the underworld with him, and I don't know, it's very confusing. But yeah, sorry. So going back to what you were saying before, I completely interrupted you. Beginning of the show, basically all of the gods, it feels like, except for 5 now or so, are imprisoned. something's wrong. Like, you know what I mean?
Well,
Like
this is
when
all part of the end game to kind of clear the board for Amit.
yeah, something feels wrong. It's like why, like if you imprison like a handful, it's like okay, that makes sense because everybody's gonna make mistakes. But like if like most, which it looks like literally most of the gods on the Egyptian laundry list of gods are imprisoned. Like I don't know, something feels weird.
Well, and short of freeing Khonshu, how do we get Moon Knight back?
Right. Well, and I'm wondering if that means if by saving Moon Knight, Khonshu, like I'm wondering if they're going to like sort of unleash all of the gods at the same time. So it's just going to be like an all-out crazy wow time.
Yeah.
Because and you wonder here's my question to you. Do you think that the gods that are currently like still putting out their justice or whatever you want to call it, do you think that they're good, bad, or neutral? Men, like, if they're doing bad, maybe they don't know that they're doing bad, they're just like misguided or something like that, or I don't know. What is your thoughts?
Yeah, I honestly haven't thought about it yet.
Because to me, I feel like I could absolutely see them revealing them to being like having nefarious,
sinister,
yeah, something more sinister end game ideas.
I mean, they could very well too just be deceived by by Harrow. I mean, because look, like we've already had kind of a court of law
right
situation where Khonshu and Mark should have won on merit.
Yeah,
but they did a horrible job presenting their case and made Harrow look like a genius. I mean, it was really sad. So they could very well just be disillusioned, and
that's very, very believable.
And deceived. Yeah, that'll be interesting. Can Moon Knight survive without Khonshu? We'll find out.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, I mean, now he's getting the help from our good old friend Tauret.
Yes.
Yeah.
And if I how does introducing Jake Lockley into into the proceedings, does that
help him in some way?
Is he reliant on Khonshu as well, or is there an element there that allows him to be more independent?
Because he's like the brawn behind the yeah. Very, very interesting.
The other big reveal, which I don't think it comes as much of a surprise, but it does mirror the comic book version, is we get the full, or a rather fuller picture of what happens to Layla's father, and
yes.
Mark is forced to, at a very inconvenient
yeah, that was
time,
like the part. Like, oh, I recognize that was part of our research.
And that Mark was present, as we suspected, at the killing of Layla's father,
right?
An archaeologist, and we assume
tried to save him, but
they don't say it. But we assume it was Raoul Bushman,
right?
Who is the primary antagonist to Moon Knight.
Yep. Which I mean, so far seemingly is inconsequential to this series.
Yeah. Well, and I saw the creators had mentioned not including Bushman because he, from a character standpoint, resembled Killmonger from
gotcha,
from Black Panther, and that they're a little too similar, and I guess they felt it didn't need to be kind of
going into museums and stealing stuff, and yeah, that checks out. It's like we've seen this already.
But now we have this interesting triangle with Layla, Steven, and Mark.
Yes.
where
Oh,
Steven
also
is kind
very
of
like great direction like in this episode because there was lots of fun symbolism going on. Because like throughout, like every time I see animals in this show, I'm like Googling like like the animal and Egypt, and just because like I know that they're like winking at us the whole time,
Right.
but like they're having this like sort of lovers quarrel, and like then they're like walking through the desert, and then they like like overhead you see like crows flying overhead, which wait, hold on a second, I wrote it down. I wrote it down. Crows. Few know that crows have very strong family links, and they are monogamous. Because of this, in ancient Egypt, they were symbols of faithful love, and the Greeks related them to Hera, the goddess of marriage and war. Which I was like, well, that makes sense. That makes sense. And then they see a goat or a ram, which I think a lot of people were going like, oh, that's like evil because like Satan. But like in Egypt, it's different. It was the god Khnum, I think it is. I'm really not sure how to pronounce it. Ancient Egyptian god of fertility, associated with water and with procreation, which would also make sense in their situation.
Yeah.
Because they want to bang each other.
Right. And that was such an awkward but great scene where
yes.
Just I wouldn't even call it a kiss, just the lip contact.
Yeah, she's just like, okay, let's belay down now.
He's like, I don't know what belay means.
Yeah, what's a belay?
But now we have the dynamic of her being interested in Steven, and then simultaneously finding out that Mark lied about what he knew about the death of her father, and
just another like freaking is another example of why just tell, even if the truth is like painful, it's always better than lying. Always. Like it's just so literally like every single episode of I Love Lucy would have been really boring and like really short if they just told the truth to each other. Because that's literally the end of the episode.
Ah, Ricky, I wish I had told you the truth.
But yeah, anyway, I was like, Mark, you idiot. Just tell her the fucking truth. She'll understand. God.
Yeah, and why are we hashing this out right now?
I know, of all times.
Being...
I know that was the only thing that was a little unbelievable to me, because I was like, I know that you're really emotional about. I mean, yeah, it's like the most emotional, like probably the most emotional, crazy part of your life. But I think that she must have been fairly aware of the imminent danger that they were both in. Like, and she decided to be like, no, we need to talk about this right now. I was like, come on. Come on.
Well, and she has to be questioning too. I mean, she does get an answer from Mark, but Harrow is an unreliable narrator of events,
right?
But he's put the
doubt in her mind.
Yeah, he's clearly created a wedge.
Yeah, which was his whole purpose. Yeah. I mean, sorry. Since now we're in that scene, I love Egypt shit, you guys. So like when they're like going through tombs and things like that, it gets me so excited. I really, really enjoyed all of that. Very Indiana Jones flair. Which I know that there's some people out there that think that that's part of the reason why they think that this reality is not really real. Like, because it like feels a little too Indiana Jonesy, but I don't know. I personally think that was just like, it's just a wink and a nod, as opposed to like we're actually trying to pull the wool over your eyes.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I think it's Indiana Jones, Tomb Raider, The Mummy.
Definitely The Mummy. In fact, like even like she gives off major what's her face vibes from The
Rachel
Mummy.
Weisz.
Oh my God, yes. Like the way she's
Very.
dressed, her hair, like it's like they're purposefully trying to do
Well,
that.
and being chased by an undead priest.
Oh
mean,
my God,
like,
that scene was like actually scary.
Well, yes. Now that we're there, we'll talk about the horror component.
Oh my
that
God,
Moon Knight's testing out.
this
here.
episode had
And
everything.
a man is disemboweled.
Ew, like literally his organs removed.
I'm like, well, that's new for Marvel.
Definitely new. Yeah, like it's so we got some hints as to what they were doing. There's some kind of like regeneration magic going on, I guess, and I'm wondering if like these priests or protectors or whatever you want to call them, guards, are like using these body parts and organs to regenerate themselves, or
Or it could be Amit related.
yeah, maybe. Because I
don't know.
I need to go watch the episode again, because I remember like they very quickly, when they were glancing over like the desk, when Steven is looking at the desk, there's I think it was Steven at the time. There's like an arm on the desk. Oh, I'm sorry. Am I boring you?
Yes, I just yawned.
There's like an arm on the table, and it looks like the skin is kind of scaly. I could be wrong, but that's sort of kind of vaguely what I remember. So if you could be right, maybe it does have something to do with Amit, since Amit is like part alligator or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's all very interesting. So I'm wondering if if it's not just like that. It could be just as creepy if this is just part of their they're just trapped in this sort of like cycle. Like when they died, they just keep doing the same thing over and over again. They just keep like that was their job when they were alive, and now they're like undead, so they just keep on mummifying people and taking out their organs, and because very, very spooky and gross.
Well, and then also very Indiana Jones with the discovery that Alexander the Great, of all people, was
all people
an avatar, and I was like, that is fantastic.
I love it. I fucking love it. So okay, did your mind? I mean, I know that I before was just like, oh, what if we? I know that it's not the same name, but do you think that this could be some kind of a like a MCU rewrite where Alexander the Great is Kang? Or is that too far to reach?
I don't think Alexander the Great is Kang.
Yeah. But you do think Kang is somehow involved?
Oh, Rama Tut.
Yeah. We know that he...
And there's been references. There've been very subtle references.
Totally.
There was a symbol...
Oh,
I think it
right.
was I don't know if it was it this episode? Or was
No,
it
it was the last episode. You're right.
There was a symbol
on
that the writers on somebody's jacket.
Exactly right.
And the writers confirmed that was a nod to Rama Tut.
So I mean, and that's So if that is the case, that now that you've reminded me of that, it feels like they wouldn't do that and make Alexander, because they're both the symbols of them are very different.
But I just I just couldn't believe Stephen, upon unearthing the tomb of Alexander the Great, proceeds to desecrate the tomb of Alexander the Great.
He's like, oh, let me just break his
Reaches
jaw and
down his gullet.
I know, and for him, being such a
sacrilege.
Yeah, it's he holds it. He holds all these Egyptian things with such reverence, and he's yeah, I love that. Oh, it was actually really cute when they first got in the tomb, and he's seeing the statues for the first time, getting super excited about it. It was very, very
well,
cute.
and Layla's super impressed. I mean, Stephen is very useful in this arena. I mean,
totally.
And this goes back to what we were saying about the dual personalities being a gift.
Mm-hmm.
Because Mark would kind of be out of his element.
Totally.
In this case.
Assumedly, right. Because so far, when they were shown the the stars thing. He was just kind of like, I don't know what the hell to do. Like, well, what are you good for, Mark? He's good for the pew
Mark,
pew.
other than lying.
Pew, yeah, right. Just wish you weren't a liar, Mark.
But yeah,
He's good for pew pews and punch punch.
The whole sequence in the pyramid was
Sick.
Was sick and creepy and
sick and creepy and good.
Yeah, Indiana Jones meets Mummy meets
Tomb
Raider.
There was a puzzle. There was
the
penitent
man shall pass.
Yeah, I enjoyed the structure of it all. It was interesting too that the when they're in the maze portion, and like the walls look like they're like shiny and reflective almost. Mm-hmm. Like it kind of almost looked like futuristic to me, which I don't know. A lot of that feels purposeful for some reason, and I'm wondering if there's going to be a reveal later on as to, because she even mentioned, she's just like, the resources they had to have in order to make this is just insane. No. Because the maze that they're in is like from above would be the depiction of the eye symbol. I can't remember, but it represents the five senses, right?
Yeah, like you had the eye, the eyebrow,
and the tongue.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it's all very, very clever. Very, very cool. Where the hell do they go from here? I mean, that's what I love, is I really have no idea. One thing I'm fairly certain about is that, Ahmet is, I mean, we've said this before, Ahmet is hella gonna be released.
Yes.
And we're probably gonna get Moon Knight back, assumedly.
I mean, yeah, we're just gonna find out if freeing Khonshu is the way to do it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. There was a second where I was just like, oh my god, is this like a really ballsy move, like where they're like setting up Oscar Isaac's Moon Knight and then like he just fucking dies, and you know what I mean, and then. But then, and then what's her face actually takes up the mantle of being Moon Knight.
Layla.
If Layla takes up the Moon Knight of Moon Knight instead, it would be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that'd be
a
wild.
Ballsy move.
Yes.
Probably not though.
Yeah, no, I don't think. I think if you have Oscar Isaac, you use Oscar
you
Isaac.
You keep him as close as you can. Mm-hmm. Hold him tight. He's a very talented person.
And I'm thinking of little odds and ends.
Boops and bips.
Back in Harrow's office, you see Steven's goldfish.
Oh, yeah, right.
And then yet another picture of that idyllic European town, which I swear to God is Latveria.
Oh, bitch. So somebody else pointed this out, and I can't remember who, but I think it was another TikToker. I'm just, and I'm on TikTok way too often. But they pointed out that on a box, I think in the cupcake thing, oh god, what did it say?
The initials,
is that what it was?
It didn't say Von Doom, because I mentioned this in episode 1. It didn't say Von Doom. It said,
but it was pointing to Von Doom for sure.
It had the same initials as Victor Von Doom.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh, what are you doing?
They're being very purposefully like wink, 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 wink. It may not actually be what it is, but they might just being like tee-hee, but like it's very plausible, because we all know they're eventually gonna, because he's such a big deal.
And any opportunity to do him correctly.
Yeah, I'd like to do him correctly.
I'm sure you would. after 2 very not good attempts.
Yes.
I'm just curious when he'll be introduced. I find it interesting that they've set the pieces in motion. One would think Fantastic Four, but I actually, since we're on this tangent, I don't think that's when he first shows up, if he shows up at all, because we've seen him in 2 Fantastic Four movies. His identity is completely tied, has always been completely tied to them, and I think it would behoove them to establish him well before.
Yeah, I mean,
he encounters the Fantastic Four.
Very a la Thanos, like, give him a couple of, like, at least post-credit scenes or something.
Right, exactly.
For sure.
And he I don't think it's an accident. That much. I don't think it's an accident they've nodded to him in Moon Knight, because he has had run-ins with Moon Knight.
Right.
People have talked about Black Panther.
The sequel?
So Latveria and Wakanda have a very contentious relationship in the comics.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
While I think Namor is probably going to be the chief villain of that movie, I could absolutely see Von Doom being in the background as someone referenced.
Great. Give it to me. I want it.
Doctor Strange is probably too jam-packed to even go down that road.
Yeah, I mean, it's only a 2-hour movie, guys.
But I'm leaving any possibility. Yeah, I'm leaving any possibilities in that movie alive, because.
Yeah, I mean, really, truly, anything can happen. Even if it's just like a very short wink, they could totally throw anything in there and everything. I feel like Doctor Strange is going to be like a very much a kitchen sink movie.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Very much so. Yeah,
they could literally also rename it Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we're fascinated with the multiverse right now.
We really are. Which I think I may have said on this podcast already, but if you have not seen that movie already, you are shorting yourself. You need to see Everything Everywhere All at Once. It is one of the most brilliant films I've ever seen, ever.
I mean,
ever.
I'll say that, like, you won't have seen anything like it.
Truly.
So
it is
that alone is probably
movie.
Worth the
oh man. But yeah, multiverse. A lot of people are trying to tackle it nowadays, and it's fun and confusing.
And it's also a potential pitfall, because you risk spiraling out in too many different directions that you start to lose stakes. Like,
for sure. You're like, it's whatever. There's another Spider-Man out there, so who gives a shit?
If there's a fix for everything. So
yeah.
I'm actually curious to see how Doctor Strange addresses that and keeps the stakes elevated.
Yeah,
while
maybe
also exploring alternate.
Because like right now, there's a multiverse that's like super crazy. But yeah, is there going to be some kind of a fix where there becomes some kind of order, and maybe some boundaries set up that that aren't like Kang related and a little more natural, but like where it's not spiraling out of control. It's just like existing as is, and there's not really like so we don't have as much access to the multiverse as
well. And I think Steven's meddling is going to be a catalyst of creating some kind of order, because he clearly F's up by doing what he did in Endgame and then doing what he did in Spider-Man.
Right.
And as I was texting you and Alyssa, Michael Waldron was talking about Doctor Strange and said that when we see him we find him in this movie, he's still reeling and regretful. He uses the word regret of decisions he made in Endgame.
Right.
And I was like, why would you be regretting what you did in Endgame when you said that was the only way to do it? Which leads me to believe that wasn't the only way to do it, and that a lot of people died unnecessarily.
Well,
which fits in with the Doctor Strange narrative from the comic. I'll tell you what, like he is absolutely a hero.
Yeah.
But he is one of the guys that does not give a flying F about how to achieve
you know what I didn't even
success.
You know what I didn't even think about until now? We're to believe that Kang was in charge of the variant what is it called? The
Time Variance Authority.
Thank you, TVA. At the time of the the snap and the Infinity War in general, right?
Wait, say that again. He was
like in charge of the TVA during the time of the Infinity War.
Yes.
Right, because that was the he deemed that to be the timeline that was supposed to be happening.
Right.
And Doctor Strange, we're getting a bonus discussion about it. Because I don't know. I think it's all related, obviously, but but then Doctor Strange looked into over 1 million,
14 million,
14 million different possibilities. Right. It's interesting if Kang had some kind of control over that. Then none of those other variants would have happened anyways that he was looking at. So that was kind of like a pointless thing for him to look into the future 14 million times. I mean, I guess that was part of the thing that pushed him into making Tony sacrifice himself.
He's going to sacrifice himself.
Yeah, I'm just curious how he was even able to look at the different futures if they didn't really ever, if they were never going to exist anyways. Did that just like explode your mind a little bit? Because
It did.
I don't know how that if that I don't know if that's necessarily like a whole, but I think that there's a reason for that.
Well, and considering Michael Waldron wrote Loki and also wrote Doctor Strange,
it's
there
going to
are no
be
holes.
real weird.
He did not create a hole, so we're going to find out.
He did not. If there's a hole, there is a reason the hole's there because we're going to go through it and it's going to be a little wee wee woo woo.
Especially when it's the same writer, it's like there are no accidents.
100%. So there's definitely some relation there. Yeah, I am very curious about what that means. My imagination, that's what I love about all this stuff that they've been adding. Like I think that I've enjoyed the MCU like for the past, what has it been, 10 15 years almost, and it's been like a very like every movie is just like, oh, that was a fun ride, but now we're getting into like it really truly is making my imagination run wild because there's so many ways that they could go and it's so fun.
It's so fun.
It really is. That's why we keep coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And Moon Knight has proven to be a worthy entry, and I'm as much as I enjoy. I think the show functions really well as it's kind of in its own corner and not beholden to all of the larger narratives that are starting to take shape. But I am giddy about getting Mark, Steven, and the gang involved with at least guys like Blade and Punisher or whoever. I think that'll be really fun.
Oh, no doubt.
I want it now. I want it right now.
Well, we have to wait. God,
I'm gonna wait another 10 years to get all this resolved.
I'm just like I'm gonna be 50 by the time they get to the fucking what's it called? Oh, jeez.
Secret Wars when we
Secret Wars, yeah. Oh, whoa, I remember back in the Infinity War days.
Yeah. Oh my god.
Oh my god. Well, now what?
That was a lot of brain exploding.
It was a lot of brain exploding.
Yeah, you really did get a full bonus episode here.
Bonus discussion. Do we have anything else that we need to add or that we forgot about? I'm sure there is because this episode was just so filled, so chock filled. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, all shall be revealed.
All shall be revealed, guys. In like only a few days, we're gonna get the penultimate. We love that word here at Inside the Tauntaun.
And as a friendly reminder, once we close up Moon Knight, will be a couple of weeks, if not just a week out from Kenobi.
Oh,
which I don't know about you.
I keep forgetting about it. I'm so excited.
I'm excited to jump back into Star Wars mode.
Oh, me too. Me too.
I feel like it's going to be a year of Star Wars.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. I mean, say it all the time, but it is a good time to be a nerd. I love being a turtle. Yeah. Wow. So,
well, Daniel, you're going on a trip.
yeah, I'm leaving. Literally today, I'm going on a cruise. This is crazy because, like, I haven't been on a vacation since before the dock times. And, you know, cruise lines right now are desperate for people. So
Right.
this is, like, so cheap. I was just like, there's no reason why I shouldn't go, like, at this point. So I'm packed my bags and I'm getting out of here and I'm going to Greece and Israel. Yes, Queen.
That's great.
We'll cross our fingers. I mean, the news, I don't know if you've been following the news in Israel right now, but times are a little crazy.
Yeah, just be careful. Keep your head on a swivel.
Yeah. Definitely gonna. Well, I mean, thankfully, I think Norwegian Cruise Lines. I think that they, probably won't go there if things are super crazy. But we'll see. I called them and they're all like, "Well, we're monitoring the news and we'll let you know." I'm like, "Okay, cool, neat." But yeah, so I unfortunately probably won't be here for the next episode because I know it's the penultimate and it's probably going to be a really cool one, but I can't wait to listen to you and Alyssa gagging about it. It's going to be great.
Well, and one of these days we're gonna string a bunch of episodes together where we're all here. But
yeah,
but as we've told you, we're busy people.
We're
With,
very busy.
Things to do, and but yeah, I assume we'll all be here for Kenobi, at least the start of Kenobi.
God willing. And then, of course,
and Doctor Strange.
Oh my God!
We'll have an episode on Doctor Strange after it.
That one comes first.
Yeah, May 5th.
Right. Which we all have tickets for. Oh, bitch. Well, Alyssa's usually the one that ends the episode. I don't know how to do it now.
Look, I'll do it.
You will? Okay, thank God.
I will do it.
I'm lost without her.
We're lost without her, but I think it goes something like, well, you've been listening to Inside the Tauntaun, a podcast in the multiverse of fandom.
This is good so far.
I'm Dino Nicandros.
Oh, and I'm Daniel Dawson. That's my line.
May the force be with you.
And
then I say, always. And then you say.
And then I say, see ya.
Inside the Tauntaun podcast, please like and subscribe.